Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Ayala.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate has the floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In recognition of Black History Month, I'd like to highlight someone who risked her life to ensure that the truth could be known and justice be served. Ida B. Wells. Ida was born into slavery in 1862, just 6 months before Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. After the war ended, her parents encouraged Ida and her siblings to attend school and learn as much as they could. However, when she was 16, Ida's parents died of yellow fever, and she became responsible for her 5 siblings. Despite this, she managed to get a job teaching in rural school and eventually attended Rust College. Ida was expelled after 2 years for rebellious behavior. She would continue to teach in local schools until May 1884, when a train conductor ordered her to give up her first-class seat and move to the smoking car. She refused, biting him, and tried to force her from her seat. After being dragged off the train, Ida returned to Memphis and filed suit against the railway company. Though she was initially awarded $500 in damage, the Tennessee Supreme Court shortly reversed the ruling. In the wake of this decision, Ida began channeling her frustrations into political columns in church newspapers. She would eventually become co-owner of a newspaper called Free Speech and Headlight in Memphis, and dedicated her efforts into exposing racial injustice. Ida would rise to prominence as one of the nation's most vocal anti-lynching activists. After 3 of her friends were lynched, she launched an extensive investigation and published a pamphlet of her findings titled Southern Horrors. Through her research, Ida was able to expose the myth that rape was the reason for lynching, and found that lynching victims had challenged white authority or had competed with white businesses or politicians. In the uproar that followed, Ida's newspaper office was burned down, and she was left to continue her anti-lynching campaign elsewhere. She went on to help block the establishment of segregated schools in Chicago and founded the Chicago Conservator, the city's first Black newspaper. In 1909, she helped form the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. In 1913, she formed the Alpha Suffrage Club of Chicago, the first Black suffrage organization. When she was 68, she ran for the Illinois legislature, making her one of the first Black women in the nation to run for public office. The influence Ida B. Wells holds today is apparent. I know that she has personally inspired me to persevere and always stand up for what I believe in. So, Mr. Speaker, members of the gallery, members of this body, no matter what you're facing, whether it be racial bias, gender inequity, or even transportation issues in your community, I hope that you'll find the same strength that Ida did. Never stop asking questions, and never stop fighting against injustice. Thank you.